Hello, welcome to SnapMath, Natalie. Thank you for sending in your question tonight. So we're looking at this function right here that we need a graph. And we know that it's continuous from negative infinity to 3. And the limit at negative 3 from the left side is 2. And we know that that's an open spot. So at negative 3 right here, we know we're going to have an open spot right here. But we also know that the limit at negative infinity is going to equal 1. So this is going to be an asymptote right here, and it's going to look something like this. All right? And then we're going to look at this next little spot of the graph. So now from negative 3 to 0, we're going to look at from the right end, the limit is going to be equal to 0. And since it's closed, it's going to be a closed circle right here. All right? And we also know that the limit of 0 is going to be negative infinity. But we also know that there's going to be a 0 or a horizontal tangent at negative 2. So what that looks like is it's going to come up and turn around at 2. Kind of looks a little bit more like this, and then comes back down and goes to infinity at 0. So that's what that looks like right there. And then the next part is from 0 to negative 2. So we have this asymptote at 0 going to negative infinity. And then from the right or the left side, the limit is going to be 2. And it's going to be an open 2 right here. So at open positive 2, it's going to look like this. And it's going to come down like that, just like it was on the other side. So that's that right there. So now what we're going to look at is we're going to look at this. From the right side, the limit is negative 1. And let me just check one thing. Yeah, the negative 1. And it's also at 2 from the right side. So negative 1. And it's also going to be an open circle. And then we got to look at this right here. There's a horizontal tangent. So that means it's a 0 slope at x equals 4. And we also know that this goes off to 0. So what that's going to look like is going to look like this right here. So it's going to go down first and then come back. So that's at 3, but it's going to look at 4 right here. No, I'm sorry. This is 4 right here. So that it does look like this. And then it comes down, and then at positive 1, it curves off a little bit. So at 4 right here, it curves and has a 0 slope. So that's what our graph looks like once we take all these things into consideration. So the last part from 2 to infinity, as it goes to infinity, it gets closer to y equals 1. And it starts at, the limit is going to be at negative 1. And we know it goes down and curves back up because of this right here. And then this section, 0 to negative, or 0 to 2, we know it starts at negative infinity and comes up. So at 0, it's going to approach infinity. And then from the left side, it's going to go to 2 right here. And then this part is, it starts at 0 right here and then goes all the way to negative infinity. And we know from here at negative 2, it has the little flat part and it turns. So that's what the horizontal tangents mean. These lines are flat, horizontal. And then the last part, it starts at 2 and then goes and asymptotes at 1. So if we dot in a line right here, looks like that. And these horizontal tangents can be anywhere at that number. It could be all the way up here if you wanted to and then come back down. This one could go all the way down here and come back. But that's our graph, and that's the information that we have. So Thank you for sending in your question, Natalie, and we look forward to answering more of your questions in the future. Have a good night.